Movie explosions are the coolest thing in the world. I mean, have you seen those scenes where the character lights a match up, throws it back behind him as he walks in slow motion and... As you can tell, I love special effects. And if you're one of the boring people in my life, you'll hear, Alfie, you should focus on the story and create characters that learn something throughout your videos so that the audience can learn along with them. And to this I say, shut up, Dad. Either way, my theory is, have you seen those big Marvel sets? You know, with 50,000 people around and these giant green screen backgrounds that are used to... Oh, you don't know what green screen is? Well, you're in for a ride. Green screens have been used for decades, and they allow you to have one solid color in the background so that it's easy to key them out. They're useful for lots of cool things, from putting characters into virtual worlds, creating special effects, or even creating clones. Say hi. All right, you can go. Oh, wait. I'm getting a call from my weather reporter. Just a second. Yes, thank you. I'm here in beautiful Silicon Valley, California, and the weather has never been better. Breaking news, I'm so sorry to announce that he was not in beautiful Silicon Valley, California. He was actually in a trash fire. Thankfully, that's the only time I'll ever lie to you. Ding! So, green screens. I actually have one in my studio. The better ones have 360-degree walls of green, which allows them to basically fully put in the character in the virtual environment. Which got me thinking, no one does visual effects quite like music videos. Take this one from the Cantopop group Spiral. Ah, green screen, what a thing. Think of all the things you could do with a green screen. Yeah, actually thinking's not my strong suit, so I went for an interview with the production team behind that video to talk about all the cool green screen tips they used.
No, we didn't use it in green screen, actually.
Never mind. This is Andrew. He was the production supervisor for that shoot, and I thought I could count on him to get me a bigger green screen. I was wrong, but why would anyone not want a green screen? This goes against everything I've set up 10 seconds ago. Shut up, Dad. And I thought that you couldn't have a high-end production without having green screen, so what's up with that?
Well, green screens still have their place in the filmmaking world. And of course, in your case, you're wearing green. I see a little bit of green or blue in your hair. Those parts are also tricky, because if I were to key out the entire green part, you know, you might just be a floating head.
That's enough green screen for today. I didn't like being a head, so if they didn't use a green screen, what did they actually use?
What we like to do is a thing called virtual production, and we use these incredibly large LED walls and surfaces to project these 3D scenes for actors and performers to work in front of. And the lighting would be adjusted to accommodate, you know, each scene we're in to kind of help blend that reality and the virtual environment.
So we're on the set now.
Yes, this is our virtual production stage. And as you can see, probably in this camera right here, that you can see a curved wall and a floor. As the camera moves, you can see that the background is tracking with us. So this is how a camera would behave in a real environment. And of course, switching back to our other camera, you'll see that we're just simply standing on a stage.
Okay, that's a really cool application. And I've used green screens before. As he said, I've had a lot of trouble with my hair and with my shirt. Not only that, you also have spill, which is reflected lighting from that green screen onto, say, for example, this table that disappears in your green screen shots.
There's a lot of times when green screen kind of, the color spills back onto the talent, which creates a lot of work for post-production to kind of comp out all those parts.
Well, I couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, that's enough to get Andrew back into my good graces, but how did they do this?
We can put some videos and also some 3D scenes in there, and we will control the whole facilities in here. It's just like the curved wall, and also the floor, and also the ceiling LED wall. And in the timeline, we can put some 3D render stream and some scene created by Unreal Engine. And also some clients want some abstract video or some footage for the background. So we just change it, and different projection can make it more different for the footage. This is the LED panel. We can changing some colors and some brightness and all the RGB level for the LED floor. All our character is in the in a scene, and not just an LED wall. It exists in the virtual world. So we need to match the color space for the curved wall and the floor. Here is our render stream engine for render out our 3D scenes. So we need to have a free machine for rendering.
But how easy is it to set up this kind of thing for someone who has like a TV in the background, even if it's not like this full experience?
Oh, that one's hard. I'm not sure. There might be something on YouTube. That one I don't know if I can answer.
Okay, well, I'll try it out.
Yeah.
And I'll come back to you with it. That sounds like a challenge, and the only thing I like more than a challenge is Tech Asia. Here, I put on my research assistant, and I got to work. It's working now. All right, it did take a little bit longer than that, but here's how it works. Most people doing virtual production use Unreal Engine, which is a tool that allows you to create a 3D environment. I got a free temple from South Korea, and now I have my scene, I need my camera. So here, just a second. Here, I have my production camera. I'm calling it Apple iPad 35LF. It's very wise. Basically, every phone or tablet that you're gonna have has a sensor inside of it that allows it to detect whether it's horizontal or vertical. When you extend it to other senses and add some other sensors, you're able to determine where this iPad is in the space. You can then pipe that into the computer and have it act as a virtual camera. So when you're tilting it like this, it'll tilt like this. This is actually quite similar to the setup they have in the studio. Give and take a few amenities, which make it much easier. Now all that's left is a massive video back wall, which a TV will suffice. My lovely assistant will wheel it in. Thank you very much. So now I can pipe in the output of that simulation into the TV, take an actual camera, like this. The pros will have an actual nicer setup, and I think we can start recording. All right, welcome to my temple. I've decided to reconvert and switch to being a monk, as you can see here, my lovely little temple. And with more actual experience in doing these and bigger TV, you know, maybe finding a space to put a couch right here. No one told me life was going to be this way, and now I'm here. You don't have to have a TV or a massive LED backdrop. You can also use projectors to achieve a relatively convincing effect.
The fact that it's being rendered out in real time also means that it's basically a live canvas, and our visual effects artists can make alterations to the scene in real time. So that could be changing the lighting, moving the furniture around, or completely rotating the world. So it really gives unlimited possibilities for people to kind of change the environment that they're in.
Having that lighting be linked to the background means you can do lots of fun stuff. For example, so no one told you life was gonna be this way. All right. I was getting carried away, but that's actually the point. You're able to kind of enter that environment. And it's the same thing for the performers. Why don't we ask them in the studio?
Hello, I'm Mimi.
Hello, I'm Apia.
Hello, I'm Wendy.
Hello, I'm Chen.
So what's the name of the group?
We are Spiral. I think it was a fun and immersive experience for me because the XR production sets create environments that the virtual world can interact with the real world. And we don't need to imagine on what is going on in the background. I think this is very convenient for all of us. And for instance, I remember that there is a scene that's the candle located on the virtual church. That part is very amazing because I remember that I stand on the stage on that day and then the candle keep moving around me. And also there was a Typhoon 10, Signal 10 happened. But we can still finish our MV shooting with the XR effects.
It also helps that they have this giant honking robotic arm, which allows them to move the camera very precisely and recreate its movements exactly. Hi, I'm a real-world example of how useful this could be. So right now, if I want to have the two of us in the frame, I need to have the camera sit on a tripod that's not moving between the shots, and I have to go like this and duplicate myself. Now, he's an idiot who forgot to ask them to do that for us. Listen, I have no excuse. How fast did that arm go anyways? Well, about 2 meters per second, so it gets quite fast. Oh yeah, that sounds a little bit dangerous, eh? I gave it a wide berth. So the arm gets quite close to you. When you're doing all these dance movements, are you nervous about it at all?
Quite nervous at first, but after that, I think it's quite amazing and very attractive because when it zooms close to me, and then I need to control my expression, my emotion, my facial expression. I think very unusual for me. Yeah. How about you?
maybe it wants to focus on my face, and at first, in the beginning, I'm scared it will hit my face, but actually it's very professional.
2 meters per second, that sounds very fast. How do you make sure that it's safe around it? Especially for the performers who are performing quite close to the camera, I'd imagine?
So safety on a film set is a number one priority. It's paramount for any type of production, and especially when working with things like a robotic arm. What we like to do is have a lot of time for rehearsal, that we make sure that our camera operators, our motion control operators, and the talent have enough time in rehearsal to make sure that the choreography or movements are in sync with what the camera's going to do, the positions and kind of moves that it's going to do. We might start off slower with rehearsal, rehearsing the moves at a slower pace, and then moving up to faster speeds or full speed at the end. So I think it's really about providing a level of safety and comfort and confidence for anyone that walks into our studio that safety is our priority, and that they should feel comfortable using these kind of new filmmaking tools. I think as the technology develops, I think you'll see more and more kind of virtual productions at all scales. I think the technology right now is quite new and it's evolving every day. But I can imagine one day this technology being accessible to everyone, just like how filmmaking is more and more accessible to more people. The popularization of it, as far as I'm aware, was first done on a show called The Mandalorian, Star Wars. And that's the combination of using high-resolution LED panels at the time and camera tracking technology to essentially work and make films in these virtual environments. So you can see the camera is tracking around you. And as we previously talked about, you don't have an issue with green screen. Your hair is perfectly in shot, and your shirt is perfectly there, and you're no longer just a floating head.
She's lovely.
Filmmaking is an art form that's evolved almost for 100 years, and it's an art form that's tied to technology, and it's constantly evolving. And I think virtual production and even motion control arms, robot arms, this is just part of that evolution. But at the end of the day, it's about telling stories and creativity. And with all this machinery and all this tech is all really about imparting emotions on their audience. So at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to achieve. Music videos are, I think, in terms of the filmmaking world, is one of the best canvases to just try everything. And I think it's traditionally been where a lot of new technologies or techniques in filmmaking are tested.
I hope you did ask him the most important question, though. And of course I did.
Here. How necessary would you say this is for a tech channel to have a virtual production background?
I would say having a virtual production studio allows you to kind of let your imagination run wild. So I can foresee that this is very beneficial.
All right, thank you very much.
We just need to submit the budget proposal and... Wait, how much does this cost, actually? Oh, yeah, here's the catch. Oh, yeah, no, that's not gonna work. Yeah, and that's not the only disadvantage that this kind of virtual production has. With green screen, you're able to go into a shoot without having the final assets, but for virtual production, you have to have the operator on set and have the final assets baked into the image. So it's not quite as versatile.
Newsflash, it turns out I was wrong. It is actually possible to do virtual production and green screen at the same time. Now, it's not perfect, but if you flash for a 60th of a second virtual production background, then for the next, the green screen, then the virtual production background, then the green screen, back and forth, it is possible to shoot green screen and virtual production at the same time. That does create some problems, for example, with lighting or with motion blur. But that's nothing that can't be surmounted, especially since Red came out with some new cameras 2 weeks ago that address some of those concerns. So this technology is progressing. It is still not quite as versatile as regular green screen, so my point still stands.
And these are massive LED screens that pump out a lot of heat, so you'd have to rework your HVAC system, have a larger space. That's a shame. I really wanted to spend some money. That is how it is, unfortunately, and hey, if you want to help us make money, you can subscribe to our channel. And hey, you can leave a like and a comment to tell us if you've ever done this kind of virtual production. Stay tuned for the next one. Till then, I guess you'll have to take care.